Hello, friends, and welcome to the Cinemondo podcast. Today we're gonna do something different. We're gonna talk about movies.
Movies.
Yeah,
Out of our comfort zone into movies.
yeah. I mean, we never really give a lot of attention to movies, and once in a while, it's fun to just talk about movies, right?
This isn't just talking about movies, though.
No.
This is a mystery day. See, we don't know who we are. It's a mystery, and we don't know who's at the door. So, like, hello, mystery.
Looks like a kind of a green Frankenstein, and I don't know what the other two were.
I'm the dud.
The dud. That was a Marvel character that had 3 episodes and was killed off.
Yeah, but he was such a dud, they got rid of him.
The dud.
But yeah, we're gonna each come up with a movie that we like. Just like those what they call guilty pleasures. But I don't feel guilty. I think you should never feel guilty about your pleasures. Your films that you love. It's like whatever it is, it's okay. It's okay.
Some of them aren't even movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, just something
Some of
that
them were plays.
Yeah, plays.
Yes.
Haiku.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm going to talk about haiku tonight.
Yeah.
No, I think it's just whatever hits you. Sometimes something hits you at a certain when you watch it, and you go, "Oh, that one hit me," and maybe doesn't hit other people the same way.
Right?
It's just for some reason,
A lot of
works
violence,
for
Mark.
you.
A lot of hitting. Hitting me.
I've got a lot of pent up frustration here, Kathy.
I feel attacked.
Why does Mark keep talking about hitting us? I don't like it.
But before I start pummeling you into submission, I want to pummel our viewers and listeners to comment, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're listening to us, via streaming, we appreciate that. But also come over and check. You can see us, actually see what we.
Yeah,
look
you can listen to the trailers here, but it's even more fun to watch the trailers and scenes that we're going to show, and you get to see us. Hi.
Yeah, and we're just building the YouTube channel. It's got a couple of hundred videos and counting, and but we love the podcast. That's how we started. 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
And mystery date's something that we used to do more often, and I'm like, we should do that again because I think it's a really fun one because you get three movies or TV shows at the same time in one podcast, and it's kind of a little bit of a suspense because we don't know what each of us is going to talk about.
Right.
And it's the kind of thing where we really spend some time thinking of a good movie to bring up. It's like, what would you, if you were going to go on a date, what would you, like, how would you test the person you were taking on this date, this mystery date? If you take them to this movie, would that prove whether or not they're worthy of your time?
Exactly.
If they like this movie,
Yeah. Who wants to start the mystery date?
Mark, I think you should.
All right, I'll start.
I think it's you.
The backstory on this particular film. This came out in the mid '90s. I saw this by myself at a theater in Boston.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
Yeah, it's a mystery date by myself.
It's just a big bummer. No one wants to hear any more of this.
No, I want to talk about this movie because was one of those weird experiences where I said, did anybody else see this at the theater? Because this movie came and went in like 2 days. It was never talked about. It was never discussed, but it has a weird. We'll show the trailer, and then I'll give you a little backstory on why that is.
Should I mark the trailer?
Yeah.
It's not a trailer reaction. I still have trailer reaction on there, but
that's okay.
All right, ready?
Okay.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right.
Very 90s, so get ready for that.
Oh my God, it looks like it's made in the 60s. Film
Yeah.
quality.
I know. The trailer is not great. It's very strange.
What?
Mute witness. Wow.
You know what's funny about that trailer is that
Do you remember that
there's
trailer? at
so
all?
much talking in type in that. There's so much blah.
I know.
And I thought it was interesting the choice to do these titles with a period at the end. That just was weird to me. That was
very
strange.
well. The backstory of this movie. It was first time writer director, and he wanted to make this
First and
film. He made a second movie that ended his career called American Werewolf in Paris, which was a remake of American, and that was kind of the end of his career. But this movie he made in the mid '80s. He met Sir Alec Guinness, Obi-Wan Kenobi, somehow.
Oh.
And he said, "Would you like to be in my movie?" He had no movie. He had no script.
Oh no!
And Sir Alec Guinness goes, because he liked him. He said, "Okay, you got me for 2 days, but the one condition is I cannot be credited in this film." So he came up with a scene where Alec Guinness, is like he plays this bad guy. He has one scene, and so when
Alec Guinness he agreed to be in his film,
yes,
but said he didn't want to be credited.
Didn't want to be credited. So in the end credits for the movie, he's called it's like the Grim Reaper is played by Anonymous or something like that. It's actually
what?
So I'm watching this movie not knowing Alec Guinness is in it. It's just this low budget film that was filmed in Russia with mostly Russian actors, except for one or two American actors, American credit. And it's all about a bunch of American low budget horror film being shot in Russia with Americans. So the movie is very weird to watch, because you see these Russian actors are playing American actors in a movie filmed in Russia about American low budget. So it's very strange and weird, but because of that, it's just very odd to watch. So I was watching this movie going, this movie feels weird, and it's about a snuff film. So there's that kind of weirdness added into it. And then halfway through the movie, Alec Guinness pops in, which is the strangest.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alec Guinness.
It was the out of body experience. He plays like the ultimate bad guy, like a Russian oligarch or something.
That is hilarious. Oh my god!
So I saw.
I don't remember owning a droid.
So the whole movie was weird, and then like it came and went. I never heard about it again. The director came and made this other film that didn't do well, so his career kind of ended. So this movie is like one of those like, did I ever really? Is this like a real movie? And then this is the only thing you really see on the internet is this 1 minute weird little kind of almost like made up trailer.
Yeah.
So it's just an odd film. To me, it's like, I really liked it because like, there's one little clip at the end, and Peter Travers, who's a pretty big name in the world of, really liked it. And it's very Hitchcockian, very, very strange, very different, and very odd. So
the trailer looks 70s to me. It has a 70s horror film vibe to it, or 60s, like Kathy was saying. The beginning of it was kind of 60s grainy looking, but
well, it took him like 10 years to not only make the film but get it distributed. So it came out in 95, but it could very well have been made in the 80s.
It's kind of bad for him. He just wants to make horror movies, and
well, he had a big budget film that just didn't do well, and I guess it wasn't.
Sometimes it only takes one time.
Yeah, so I'm sure he's doing fine. But anyway, that's a very weird little movie that I remember seeing by myself and saying, did anybody else see this in the theater? And my answer is probably not.
If anyone saw this in the theater, tell us down in the comments if you're on YouTube watching this.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Mute Witness is my little mystery date film for you.
That's a good one. That is obscure. So Cinemondo.
All the earmarks is something I would want to see. I love the snuff film aspect. I love the filmmaking aspect. I love all that shit. So.
And then the main actress is Russian, but she's mute. She can't speak, and so but she's supposed to be an American. And then there's
that's a tricky way of getting around that accent.
Right, exactly.
Don't have the top.
So there's a lot of weird sort of like this movie is made from a different in that weird sort of like Burk meant when you come out of a movie theater you feel weirdly different, like something
like disoriented.
Yeah, it was very disorienting. The whole thing was disorienting. Like,
okay.
So if you're in the mood for something odd, check it out. Yeah, so.
It sounds like that movie Possessed, where
it's very much like Possessed.
Yeah. It kind of looks like that a bit.
Yeah. It reminds because that's weird. Sam Neill's in this movie that takes place in Czechoslovakia or something.
It's the right near the wall in Germany in Berlin. Right, so it's got that kind of vibe,
Yeah,
it's the wall was still there.
Same sort of feeling. So
weird.
Yeah,
so that's a good one because I have not heard
that is
of
a good one.
And it's obscure and cool, and that's a kind of quirky, kind of punk rock kind of mystery date. Who comes knocking at the door? You're like, wow, I don't know. This guy was kind of dangerous, but I'll check it out.
Exactly. Who's next? Kathy, you want to go second?
Burke, do you want to go or you want me to go?
You go.
Okay. All right. So this is brand spanking new. So unlike Mark's, which is old and something you can
Old and decrepit, like
old and ancient and really old. Like what was it, 95, which is old now, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So no, this is brand new from Ben Stiller. He's directing all the episodes for a show on Apple Plus called Severance. And what's so interesting about the timing for this? It stars Patricia Arquette and Adam Scott. That they would do a workplace kind of surreal, kind of horror, kind of concept around being at work in the workplace, but no one's been at work for a while. A lot of people haven't been in the office, so it was very interesting. So I think what they brought to it was, remember how work used to feel, just brainwashy, and the work-life balance and separating yourself from work and taking it home, and just all the mind games that work plays and how heavy it is on your brain. Well, they bring all those aspects into this insane, super modern, almost sci-fi, like it's almost unclassifiable. So we'll play the trailer. It'll give you a taste. And I would suggest also, if you're going to watch this, really watch the opening credits, because they are also like spectacular.
Really?
So,
Love
okay.
that.
So we're going to watch it right now. Ready?
You want me to
We going to clap it?
Yeah.
This is not
Ready?
about the actress Joan Severance? No. Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Every time you find yourself here, it's because you chose to come back.
Christopher Walken, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. And John Turturro, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Great
Hello.
cast.
My name is Mark S.
And Karl Marx looks
I
like.
have, of my own free accord, elected to undergo the procedure known as severance. I give consent to sever my memories between my work life and my personal life.
Interesting.
I acknowledge that
Yep.
once the procedure is complete, I will be unable to access my personal memories whilst on the severed floor.
Say gratitude.
Nor will I retain work memories.
Hey,
Sorry, when I return home at the end of the day. I make these statements freely.
Hi, kids. What's for dinner?
We warned you.
About the greeting? You were kidding.
We hate it. How many reasons did we come up with?
8.
Good morning. Hi, Mr. Milchek. Mark, could I have a word?
Petey is no longer with this company.
I'm sorry, Mark. You guys were one of my favorite office friendships.
What happened?
We'd love to tell you, but unfortunately non-disclosure policy forbids.
I confer upon you the advanced role of department chief. Congratulations. A handshake is available upon request.
Thank you. May I have a handshake? Do I know you?
My name's Petey. I'm from work.
So, we're friends?
I'm your best friend. Nothing is what they say. I used to think it would take a monster to put someone in a place like that office. Especially if the person was himself. If you want to know what's going on down there, you'll find the beginning of a very long answer.
What's happening?
What is it we actually do here?
It's important your eyes be kind. Do you know how to make your eyes kind?
All right.
Wow.
So it
Looks
definitely has that
interesting.
big sort of sci-fi,
Dystopian sort of,
the
situation.
machine. You're part of a machine, basically.
Kind of a Black Mirror kind of vibe to it, it seems.
Yeah, very Black Mirror. I think what I like about it is I've worked at a lot of like big companies, and the idea of like walking through these big hallways that seem like they never end and actually getting lost in the building and not knowing where my office is, that is not that unusual. And the whole corporate oversight of, you have to act a certain way. You have to, be part of the mission statement. And, they
Right.
push this really far, but there's a little aspect of their job involves these numbers that come down their screen. They just see numbers in the screen. And you're looking for the scary numbers. There's a scary number, and you'll know it when you see it. And they don't really explain it. So everyone's sitting there when they see the scary numbers, they grab them and they put them in the trash. And that's their job. It's this weird, and it's not that unusual either. I think where you're given these tasks to do at work and you don't really know why, in a way. Like a lot of times, like, what is the whole significance of this ultimately?
Right.
So they really dive into the corporate mind games, the idea that who you are outside of work is different from who you are in work. You kind of have these two personas, and they make it really literal. It's
and non-disclosure documents that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people have to
Right.
sign,
And they call them the innies and the outies. The innies are the ones at work, and the outies are the one outside work. And they talk about it as if they're two different people, but they are the same person. So it's really
That's kind
really
of
a cool idea.
fascinating. That whole idea of like, like you and then who, your paths cross, outside
Yeah.
of your work, people paths cross when you're,
And they don't know each
outside
other
work, and you don't
outside
know
of
each
work.
other. But then, of course, obviously, that one guy comes into the diner, and somehow, hey, listen, you know me,
Yeah, and all of a
That's
sudden
cool.
he's like, and they do this voluntarily, and they have to make a video of them telling their innie that I did this on purpose. I did this because I wanted it. Because a lot of times these people, like you saw her wake up on the table, that's like the opening scene. You don't know why you're there at first because you're disoriented. Like, why am I
Right.
waking up in an office?
Right.
You don't believe them when they say that this is what's happening to you. So you're like, how do I know this? Well, they show you a video of yourself making the decision. And it's
Wow.
like, what? What's happening? So it's a really interesting concept because you have that helplessness of feeling like you can't leave work. You can't get out of there. You can't, I don't know. It really resonated with me, that whole, and also I just love Adam Scott. I just love him so much. He's got that sort of just a little bit off. I love that he's a comedian playing it straight. So he gives you that weird sort of slanted performance that seems,
Yeah.
I'm
Mhm.
friendly and nice. And then you're like, this pushed too hard. And directed by Ben Stiller, which is a very interesting choice also.
And it sounds looks like it goes into that feeling that we all get sometimes with certain jobs that we've had, hopefully in our past, where you feel like you're just doing this meaningless ritual crap every day,
Right.
all day,
Yeah.
all late,
Oh, God.
day after day. And that feeling of, okay, you have to enter these numbers and then it's like that. You remember when they went into the hatch on Lost, and there
Yes,
was that
very
whole
much.
thing about
Yes.
that you have to enter the numbers, and it
Right.
looked like it was just a game or some sort
Yeah.
of ritual that you had to do, like a rat in a maze kind of a thing. And
And also-
sometimes a job feels like that,
Yeah.
Yes.
And also the other factor, even if the job is great, like joining a corporate culture,
Yeah.
like some of
Yes.
these jobs, some of these other companies where, you can have, you can have breakfast, lunch, and dinner here
Mhm.
because it's incredible.
Yeah.
There's a
Then you're-
campus. You don't even have
yeah,
to
campus.
leave.
You
Right,
can do
campus.
daycare here. You can go to the gym here. You can go play. You can watch you. Then your life has become that job, and that's what happens to a lot of people nowadays. And I
Yeah.
always fought
Yeah.
that. Like whenever I sensed joining in something.
Yeah.
I mean, here's my quick aside. I worked at Trader Joe's for 2 weeks, and
Mhm.
it was such a weird feeling. Like you had to kind of join the
Right.
cult of Trader Joe's, and I got so turned off by it. I love shopping there, but I don't like working there. It's very strange. Anyway,
Remember that movie Office Space?
Yes.
Yes.
Where they go to those sort of Applebee's kind of places, and you
Yep.
have to wear 15 pieces of flair, and it's that kind of that sort of corporate landscape where people feel dehumanized, and you feel like you're a character, like you're a cast member at Disneyland or something, where you're playing like, hi, I'm your server today, and my name is
Would you like to
and-
try the extreme fajitas?
yeah.
Extreme fajitas. those
Yeah.
The other kind of interesting aspect is that sometimes the person outside the business is way worse off, and that the reason that they did this is they didn't want to remember their real life. So
Right.
it's not necessarily that even the workplace is the worst thing happening to them. So that's what I
Right.
thought was also an interesting aspect. And I just thought the set was so amazing, and I thought it was this huge set. Maybe they filmed it in Vancouver. It's actually shot in New Jersey in some huge like office space that actually exists.
Oh.
No
I'm like,
kidding.
what? So that alone, and the fact they have this thing called the break room, like when you kind of break the rules, you go into the break room. No one really knows where it is or what goes on in there, but they show them walking in. Such a great effect. They walk through this door, and the hallway is super thin, like basically shoulder width. So you don't even realize as you walk down hallways how you just instinctively need that extra space around you.
Right.
Yeah.
So to
Yeah.
see them walking down the super skinny hallway was just, you just could feel yourself constricting. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God. So it's a really, really well done show. I
Oh.
highly recommend this date for you.
Thank you. That's
It
a date, I
definitely
think.
looks interesting.
It does. It does. All right, Burke.
And we have our third
Oh.
date coming up.
I thought
Knock,
I was
knock,
done. I forgot. I still have to do one.
You still have to.
I'm going to bring up something old, as I often do. I like the old things, but this one is from the 70s, and I think the 70s for me was just that was when my favorite era of films. I guess the 70s and the 40s. I don't know
Those
why, but
70s films.
the 70s just had an edge to them somehow. There was something going on in the filmmaking realms that sort of got a little bit ruined by certain aspects of the film and entertainment industries in the, going into the 80s and the 90s and whatever.
I agree.
So the 70s is kind of like the last time you could get away with certain things, and you could have this level of realism to the films. And you could depict things that would probably be troubling now or troublesome to film. And I mean, look at The Exorcist is a great example. You know, there's a lot of things in there that now, if there were meetings, they'd say, well, let's not go there.
Right.
You might offend this person, you might offend that person. There's religion or that, whatever. And the film I'm going to talk about is a film that I really think represents a time in reality. It's not sugar-coated, it's not exaggerated even, but it's a film called Over the Edge, and it was made in 1979 about kids, and I was a kid around then, and this just rings so true to me. It's about it's one of those planned communities. It's supposed to be near, in Denver, Colorado, and it's just this flat desert, and they're building these houses out there. And you think about it, and you're like, what do the kids do in a place like that? The parents are thinking investing, and they're going to have this and that for the office park and my job and whatever, my career. But there's all these kids that got dropped into this treeless environment where there's really just nothing to do and kind of no future, and kind of a punk rock vibe to it. And the music in the film is some punk rock and some things like Cheap Trick and things like that. And it just and the kids are listening to this music, and it's the music has the purpose that the music in this film serves is perfect. It's like, this is why there was punk rock. And this is why there was that feeling of unrest and kids being sort of in this mindset of, I just want to break things, I just want to be a punk rocker, and I want to burn the school down. And I never did that as a kid, of course, but I remember the feeling of like, yeah, I wish we could just tear this place down. And the kids in this movie, the casting is great. This is Matt Dillon's first film.
Wow.
And he is like absolutely perfect in this film. He couldn't be better. There's one scene that I really like. If I can find it here in our list, that there's a scene that just sort of sums up his attitude in the film. And this is,
I only got one law. A kid who tells on another kid is a dead kid.
and it's
Such a
like
tough guy.
it's like the streets, man. The code of the kids.
The kids.
Yeah.
Don't mess with us, man.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the Kiss concert, man, and we're gonna get a lid of pot, and
I have the trailer if you want me to play.
Oh
it.
yeah, the trailer is pretty cool.
I love 70s films. Let's look at it. All right, here we go.
Okay, you want me to mark it?
Oh yes, let's mark it. Okay.
There we go.
Welcome to New Granada, where people come to escape city
Voiceover.
life. It has safe streets, clean air, good schools. It's a perfectly planned community, but something strange is happening.
Kids.
Something that
Getting hassled by the cops, man.
Yeah.
into exactly what you're trying to get away from.
Something that could drive this town over the edge.
You're to take these home to your parents, is to let them know about a special emergency meeting to discuss the problems about you people.
Kid who tells on another kid. He's a dead kid.
You dead kid.
I don't know how many of us are willing to admit just how deep in trouble some of the kids in this city are.
Tension is rising.
And you people talk about these kids like they're a bunch of animals.
Tempers are raging.
Your son and some of his friends are part of this.
My son and his friends are part of this town.
Time is running out. And something's
A lot of breaking glass.
explode.
They've got guns.
Oh, Tim Hunter.
Yeah.
They were old enough to know better, but too young to care. Now this town is over the edge.
Vincent Spano.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's cool in it. Yeah.
He's so great
Wow.
in this.
You know,
It's a really
Wow.
touching film too. There's moments in it. You mentioned Vincent Spano. He plays a character that's just like a homeless kid, you know, and he seems like tough. You got to be tough, but there's a scene where he just talks to this other kid, and it's really touching. And the another great line in it is the main character is talking about the Matt Dillon character, and he says, you know, when I first met him, he introduced himself and said, "I'm on probation." You know, my name is Richie. Hi, my name is Richie White. I'm on probation.
I'm a tough guy.
but you know, it's very 70s. You know, Jonathan Kaplan. We said Tim Hunter, who did
Tim Hunter,
co-wrote this. George Litto, who did a lot of Brian De Palma, to produce this, and Jonathan Kaplan came from sort of the Roger Corman school, along with Martin Scorsese and Ron Howard, and it has that feel of a Corman film, kind of in many ways, you know. But I remember seeing it too, and I remember watching this on HBO in the early days and going, "Man, this is like pretty intense."
Yeah,
like it was R-rated, or in other words, you know, swear words, and these kids were tough and they were vandalizing, and I remember it really kind of hit me too at the same age that you were, Burk. So,
and it's dark, you know. It doesn't have like a happy, like, oh, they turned out okay kind of ending. It has a kind of it has a sort of a, you know, pessimistic ending as far as the youth, you know. It's like the parents that don't care and the community that doesn't care, and they just sort of plop these kids down in this rec room and hope, you know, okay, this will be good. We'll give them a little Quonset hut out in the desert, and they can play pool, you know.
You know, I laughed a lot in that. I think because, you know, the style, you know, they kept showing that one shot where I think it was supposed to be scary looking, where they're all like in this mob with their bicycles walking.
They got the Stingray bikes, the banana seats.
These delinquents, and they're like these stupid bikes, and just seeing this, you know, the long hair, and they all look so skinny and like and not scary at all. And I just had to laugh because I just think the 70s, they seem so innocent and so funny to me that when I see it, I just instantly start smiling and laughing. I don't know why, no matter how intense it is.
To me, it's familiar. I mean, I remember that in high school. Sure. I remember kids like that. I remember kids doing really bad things. And I think now, nowadays is, you know, probably safer and everything, of course, but back in those days, I felt like it wasn't anybody watching the kids when I went to school. The place where I went to school, I remember kids, this sounds like I'm making it up, but I remember kids brought guns to school and would just show them off and like, dude, check it out.
I don't remember guns, but
kids selling drugs at school, and you know, like,
I remember the 70s nunchucks were big.
Yeah,
people actually get those
switchblades.
All that stuff was scary.
And those like ninja stars, everybody got into the martial arts kind of stuff, and everybody's bringing ninja stars to school and throwing them in the wall while somebody wasn't looking. And, you know, it was like, those I think are illegal now, but you know, it's like everybody had ninja stars.
Or M80s, which were like a quarter stick of dynamite or a blockbuster, whatever they're called. So
what I love about too is, like, you know, they do the stuff like, you know, high school seems so important.
Yeah.
And everything about high school seems so important. The
Right.
the adults, how they're treated, the politics. They don't
Yeah.
realize that once you get out of high school, you do not give a fuck about high
Yeah.
school. You're like gone. All of that energy, all of that like distress and pressure. You do not care about high school anymore.
Yeah.
And that's one message I want to tell kids, like, don't get too caught up in this shit because it's gonna be over. And
It's
you're
just
done
a
with it.
meaningless moment in your life.
It's like, and they make it like, we're gonna take this school and we're gonna do. It's like no one wants the school. Trust me. You're gonna break all the cases with the trophies in it. You're gonna break the glass on the doors, and then they'll just fix them the next day. You'll go on to college or unemployment or whatever you want to do, and
school.
it's done. Yeah, that's so funny.
You know, the thing about this movie though is it does have the kind of it has the quality to it that a lot of times the stories that you would hear have, you know, like where kids would say, I broke into my school, man. I stole
right.
you know, whatever. And I stole a car, man. And when you look at this, it is such teenager stuff
Punk
that I
ass
remember,
shit.
like, and the kids break into the school, and there's this, the visual storytelling is so great because there's a scene where this kid comes running out of the school and they just completely vandalize it, and you know they're looting and whatever, and you know of course people now think looting is this brand new thing, but it's
It never happened before.
But this one kid comes running out of the school and he's got like 50 pairs of headphones. Like he broke into the AV room and he took all the headphones. He comes running out with he got all the headphones. And you know, it's and another kid is like breaking a chair, you know, he's like stomping on a chair and breaking it. It's like just taking out this aggression. But there are some classic scenes in this movie too, as far as the feeling of being young and all that. And there's one scene where the kids get into trouble and they can't go home, and there's this one classic scene, I think one of my favorite scenes in it, where the boy and the girl who kind of like each other, they end up having to spend the night together in this house that's being built. It's a development, so they're still building the houses. So it's a house still under construction. It's still just a wooden frame, but they have to spend the night there. And when they wake up in the morning, it's like she's got to go to school or something. She has to go back home, you know. So there's a scene where she leaves and goes out the back door, and he's saying goodbye to her because he has to stay there. And she leaves, and it's this beautiful shot. They went out and shot this in the morning because the sun is so perfect in this field out behind the house. And she leaves, and she runs, and it's this. They left the camera on her and him, and you see her running away, and she turns back and looks at him and waves a little bit, and then she runs some more. It's just so poetic and beautiful to me. And also, it kind of has this resonance too, where it's almost like they're symbolizing a marriage, where he's saying bye honey, you know, and she's saying I'll see you tonight honey, you know, and she leaves and he's in the house, and it's just like heartbreaking because the house is not even finished being built, and it's like not put together. Everything is in pieces and not complete and incomplete, and the symbolism in that scene I think is just brilliant.
Yeah,
and
that's a great movie.
I fortunately got to work with Kaplan and Tim Hunter and on some things. I got to meet them, and I got to tell them how much I love these films.
That's great.
They were cool. I was worried. I was like, oh no, I have to work with someone I really, really like, and I hope there's not a jerk. And I'm proud, very happy to report, not jerks.
Super cool. Yay.
Well, that's a good.
So there's our mystery dates.
Yes, 3 good ones, I think I really want to see Severance. I'll watch Over the Edge again too, and so that's good stuff. That's what mystery dates all about.
That's right. We're trying to be mysterious and tell you about cool stuff.
And maybe you haven't seen it. You know, maybe you haven't seen these movies. That's the other thing I like. You know,
everybody's looking for stuff to watch now, so we're trying to dig up stuff. Maybe
I'm sure they're all available to see, except maybe the one I picked, which is probably like in some vault somewhere.
It'd be an interesting one. It's probably on Shudder. Who knows?
But it's fun to look for movies. You know, you can find them somehow.
Hidden gems.
And I think Over the Edge, I think, is out there somewhere. It's
I'm sure.
It used to be hard to find, but then I think now is. Yeah.
And don't forget to comment, subscribe, and like. Please do that. We appreciate it.
We do.
Thank you guys.
Every single one. All right, all.
Thanks for joining us.
See you in the next date.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.